Sometimes you'll write a good prompt for AI and you'll want to reuse it. But what's the best way to manage all of your prompts? Sure, you can try and reference them inside of ChatGPT, but what happens when you want to go from GPT to Claude or Gemini or another AI tool? I'm going to give you a couple of different workflows that I use for managing my AI prompts. Sometimes I'll write a good prompt for GPT and I'll be pretty happy with the output. But what happens when you have dozens of different prompts and you want to manage them? Enter the concept of a prompt library. So here's a prompt I came up with a few weeks ago that I've been using a lot lately. I've told ChatGPT it's a copywriter who specializes in viral LinkedIn content. And I've explained I need help with my hooks or first lines for my LinkedIn posts. And I found that this particular prompt comes up with some reasonably good outputs. Oh, by the way, if you need help with LinkedIn, check out my entire playlist dedicated to building your brand on that platform. Now, rather than rewriting or retyping out this prompt every single time, I could of course just copy and paste it from GPT and put it into another LLM. But there is a better way to do it. So I'd actually recommend that you start to categorize and organize your prompts and put them into a dedicated prompt library. And I'm going to use a prompt to do it. So I've told ChatGPT, here is my framework for categorizing my prompts. I need it to come up with a prompt name, a version number, platform use case, and then I'll put in the text as well as some notes. And now ChatGPT has somewhat categorized the prompt for me. So I'm going to head over to an app that I use to write plain text files on my Mac. Now the app isn't really that important. You can do this in any writing application. So here is the prompt. And now I'm going to simply use the hashtag AI prompt so I can quickly find this later on. And I'll make sure I give the plain text file a descriptive heading so I can quickly find it on my computer. And because I've used hashtags and a little bit of context, I'll quickly be able to reference this prompt and see what it's good for. Now this workflow, basically using plain text or markdown files, works quite well if you have prompts that you just want to use yourself. But what if you want to do things like play around with version control, share your prompts with other team members, or basically just work more online? There is an app that's really popular with developers, GitHub. Now don't let that put you off. GitHub is actually pretty easy to use. And you can use this to host all of your prompts and take care of things like version control. You don't even have to pay for it. So once you've set up your GitHub account, you're going to create something called a gist. So simply click on your icon in the top right hand sidebar, then head over to your gists. And these are basically snippets of code, in this case prompts. And you're going to store them all inside of GitHub. And you can share these with other team members. And you can also do things like manage version control and back up your prompts. And they're pretty easy to create. So you're going to select create new gist. Then I'm going to paste in the prompt that I showed you a few moments ago. You're going to give it a description. So I'm going to call this prompt document. I'm going to call this one prompt for LinkedIn hooks. I'm also going to give it a descriptive file name. So for the purpose of the video, I'm just going to give it the same file name that we've used for the description. And then once I'm happy with this particular gist, I can of course upload files if I want. So I could just upload those plain text files from my computer. But once I'm happy with it, I simply click on create secret gist and only I can access it. And if I want, I can give this link to other people so they can review this piece of code. And I can even leave myself comments like works well in GPT, but not Gemini. And if I want to, I can select edit and I can make changes to this particular gist. So I'm going to delete this section here. And this is pretty useful because you'll start to see how version control works. So once I select update, now I have a new version of this particular gist. So I can access the new version and GitHub is going to show me what was removed. And this way I can start to build out a library of all of my prompts inside of GitHub as gists or snippets of code. Now the key here is just make sure that you give each one of these a descriptive name so you can quickly find them and reference them later on. And this way you can start to use GitHub to manage your prompts and to test them inside of different LLMs. I also like this because at any point I can select raw to see the raw version of the prompt. And of course, I can also use plain text or rich text formatting and even markdown to improve what it looks like. And of course, I can revert any of the changes pretty quickly and easily. So there you go. If you want to manage your prompts, start with a plain text file on your computer. Give the plain text file a descriptive heading. If you want to take things one step further, Consider using some sort of categorization whereby you say what the prompt is for and what LLMs it works well in. And if you want to take things even further, use something like GitHub Gist to create snippets of code, i.e. your prompts, and take care of things like version control. And of course, all of these workflows are free. Hope you found this video helpful. It does comprise an entire playlist, so please do subscribe if you want to go through an entire tutorial for using GPT to write better prompts. I've also included some resources below this video, including 101 proven prompts that you can use with GPT and other AI models.